Hi, I'm DJ Sixsmith. You're watching The Sit Down. Billy Gardell's here with us. Bob Hearts Abishola.
How are you, man?
What's up, man?
Can we shake?
Yeah, let's do a little, the Corona shake, whatever you want to do.
We should
Wild
be
times we're
to each
living
other
in, right?
Spacesuits pretty soon, man.
How's everything going?
Really great, man. It's been a great trip up here to New York, and I've been doing a little press run here for Bob Hearts Abishola. We're coming into Sweeps in the end of our first season, which is really amazing. We got our whole season, and we're looking good right now. And I want to thank all the fans who are watching our show. Thank you so much.
So what's this experience been like from when it first started to where you guys are now?
It's been really beautiful, man. You know, I was blessed enough to have be on a hit show before with Mike and Molly, and I never thought I'd be in the middle of a second one, man. You know, I have a horseshoe in my behind, is what I think it is. But Chuck Lorre said, I think I got something, and I think you're the guy for it. And it's a very sweet and a very kind show. And once I got about 9 pages in, and I called him back. I said, man, I'm in. Let's do this thing. Because it's an example of kindness and what it's like when you open your heart and your mind and learn about each other and how strong that becomes. And I think we are in need of that right now, and I'm very proud of this one. Very, very proud of this one.
It feels like Chuck Lorre just has the magic touch. I mean, what's the
third
deal
eye,
with him?
Man.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's always about 4 weeks ahead of everybody else, and he just really gets it. And what I love too is you know, the writing, not just Chuck, but the staff that he has cultivated and continues to cultivate. You know, the writing is always just a notch above. Like our table drafts are. They're amazing. They're better than most people shoot drafts when it comes to the sitcom genre. There's a quality level over there. The bar's very high, and so it's very exciting to get a script. You're like, all right, what are we going to do now?
You want to dive right into that thing.
Yeah, and the stories are filled with heart, and you know, it's about a man who has a heart attack and wakes up, and his cardiac nurse happens to be from Nigeria. And, you know, after you have a life-threatening moment, you know, somebody strikes you, you figure, I'm going to take a chance. How long am I going to be here?
Yeah.
And her story is very beautiful. It's about a hardworking immigrant who's come to this country to make a better life for herself and her family. And that's a light that needs to be shined. And then these two people, their worlds collide, you know, and in a beautiful way, because he teaches her how to kind of lighten up a little bit. And she has a focus and a strength that I think is attractive to him. So it's a very nice give and take.
Yeah, two people from two different worlds that come together in this really interesting circumstance.
And it just has that thing, like when we get from each other, we're stronger.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it's about.
And it's also funny where you meet people also. You never would expect that relationship would start, let alone where it haapens, right?
How does it start in the NICU? Exactly.
What are some of the other big concepts you've been thinking about throughout that have really stuck with you for this?
For this show?
Yeah.
I think, man, my thing is always this, man. You know, I'm a big fan of the doctor's oath. Do no harm. You know, I think, it's going to sound cheesy, but it's something I believe. I believe love and kindness are the biggest and strongest tools we have, and yet they're the last ones we reach for.
That's a good point.
And I think examples of that go a lot further than this. What was it? Ben Franklin said, what is it? Well done's better than well said. So I think an example is always better than just jumping on a soapbox.
Right, and just to show people how you're going to act as opposed to what you're going to say.
Correct, and I like to this show, like as we learn about each other, sometimes you have to ask dumb questions. And you have you have to have somebody open enough to go, okay, no, that's not. You know what I mean? And so in that honesty and in that learning process, I think you just root for people that do that.
Some people don't have the humility, though, to ask those questions. Their ego gets in the way of that.
You know, I tell my son's 16, I said the best words a young man can learn is, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know how much trouble that would have saved me, man? I don't know. You don't have to be an expert.
Right, especially as guys, too, we're just like, yeah, we got this, right?
The ego gets in the way, and you learn as you get older, and that's why I try to keep imparting to them. And two most important things I tell them is, no is the most powerful word in your vocabulary. You know, trust your spidey sense, you know? And the other one is, I don't know. That's how you learn. You can't learn if you're talking all the time.
Absolutely. So when I think about your career, I mean, over 100 episodes of Mike and Molly, which is insane to think about. And also how different
TV was.
Catching a unicorn. Yeah, I mean, how different TV was back then, too.
Yeah.
What are the things you think about when you look at Mike and Molly, that run, and just looking at TV now and where it's gone?
I think about, I know that everything's transformative. You know, everybody's going to the streaming stuff. Like my kid's 16, he doesn't watch television. He watches his phone or the computer, and you know, we're all CBS is stepping towards that with CBS All Access, and we all have to get to that. I understand it keeps evolving, but I'm still a guy that I like traditional TV. Like I like knowing Sunday night 8 o'clock my program's
exactly.
on. Like
Network TV.
I'm still
you're that
guy.
Yeah.
I like my big TV, but I understand that it's transforming, and I think as long as you're putting quality content out, whatever the delivery system is, I think people will find it. I think if you put quality out, people find it because, we do ads and we do promotions and we do all that, but nothing beats somebody saying, "Have you seen that show?"
Yeah, word of mouth is always the most powerful
So I'm still
tool.
a big believer in if you put the quality out, if you build it, they will come, right?
Yeah.
Field of Dreams.
Absolutely.
There you go.
A classic.
Yeah.
When you were working with Melissa, I mean, a really special person, when did you realize she was cream of the crop, top of the chart?
Man, her and I have a brother and sister relationship. I love her, and I think she's special, man. The first time I read with her, we read our script, and something was just there right away. And then watching her, when I'd work with her, what I tried to do was react. And sometimes we would do a couple takes exactly how the writers wanted, and then they'd give her one to kind of improv because she's just got that brain, you know what I mean? But I would say, don't tell me what you're going to do, so that my reaction would be organic and
pure,
honest to hers. Exactly, but man, she's a powerhouse, man. Powerhouse.
I think everybody kind of caught up in realizing that. You were probably on the
I was
early
way
line
ahead
with
of the
that.
curve on
you knew
that.
it.
I get to know that early. Exactly.
So we were talking off camera about your comedy career, and that's been something that's been going throughout. What's it been like building that out? And also with your son, like you've wanted to spend more time with him recently, so how do you balance all that?
I have the utmost respect for comedians, and I've been a stand-up comic since 1987. I was always like one molecule off from being like the big arena guys, but I'm a fan of comedy, and stand-up gave me everything. It gave me the opportunity that I have now. That's what got me where and I really respect it. But I got to say, nowadays, after having done it for about 30 years, I enjoy it to go do once in a while, but I've really, really fallen in love with acting. I just really, really love it. But again, I'm a fan of stand-up, and I have nothing but love and respect for it. But I think I'm getting to the place where you're talking about my son. I want to be home on the weekends, man. I want to be, he's 16. I got him for 2 more years, and then
he's off.
I got to beg him to call me once a month, So I'm trying to get all that in that I can, and maybe I'll pick back up on my travels a little more once he's off to college.
What was the biggest crowd you played in front of for comedy?
I think the best, I topped out, I think, at 3,500, which is a pretty big number. But my average crowds are between 1,000 and 1,500, which is a huge blessing. I mean,
Absolutely.
Very few people get to that. You know what I mean? So I'm very grateful.
Does it blow your mind that comedy has exploded with all the specials and Netflix and all that stuff going?
No, I think it blows my mind how it happened. I think podcasts really saved stand-up comedy, and I think it brought it to the forefront again. And, there's so many great comics out there, and I think that the reason we need them is because comics are always pretty reflective of what's going on in society. And when society is filled with chaos, people need to laugh, man. People need a release. They need a break. They need to break that circular crazy. And I think comics provide that. And I think podcasts have given people access to comics where maybe we wouldn't have seen that as much with just a television appearance.
Right.
Podcasts are very personal. You listen to a guy you like, you listen to him every week.
Yeah, you're in a couple times a week.
And
you don't even have to go to the show.
Like my
now.
kid will listen to, he listens to a lot of podcasts. While he's doing homework, it's on in the background. So it's almost like music. You know what I mean? So I think comics serve a good purpose, man. I think they cause laughter in places where we need, even when it's crazy, we need to be able to pull the plug on that once in a while. And I think that's a great service.
I feel. Why don't we talk a little Pittsburgh sports
Let's
here?
go.
How are you feeling about the Pirates going into the spring? I mean, Steelers, it wasn't great this year with Big Ben. Where are we at with Pittsburgh sports?
My Pirates, man. My poor Pirates. I'm not a big fan of the ownership in Pittsburgh. I don't think they've treated that team the way it should be treated.
They had some good guys for a while.
Yeah, we have fire sales every year, though.
Yeah.
We let Kutch go to Philly, and Cole. I'm watching him pitch for the Astros in the World Series.
He's become the best pitcher in baseball.
And it just breaks my heart because they've had the pieces, and he sings a song and dance about it's a small market team. Well, Cleveland competes, man. Minnesota competes. There's a way to do this.
Especially in baseball, you can find a way.
And you have an incredible fan base that wants to be at the games. And I root for them, but I'm screaming at the TV by May 15th. And that's a little frustrating. Now, my kid, he lives in L.A. He was born in L.A., so I told him the Steelers are not negotiable.
It's a must.
You root for them or you leave the house. I said, but you could pick an LA team. You could pick either hockey or baseball, and that could be your LA team. So he's a Dodger guy. So as the Pirates start to torture me, I'll tune into the Dodgers with him and kind of watch, and we'll go to games out there together.
Well, he's learned a little heartbreak, too, these last couple of years with the Dodgers.
Yeah. Well, he's, you know, with the signals and stuff like that, and you never know, I mean, how much of that affects. But, I mean, if you know a fastball's coming and you're a pro.
Right.
It's kind of like that scene in Bull Durham. It's like he knew it was coming. He did. I told him, don't ever shake me off again. You know what I mean? So yeah, he has, a couple times.
What are some of your other favorite sports movies? You mentioned Field of Dreams, Bull Durham. What
Well,
else
I got Bull Durham, Field of Dreams. If you want to have, I think the man version of Beaches. If you just want to sit alone as a man and cry, you watch For the Love of the Game.
Oh yeah. Lots of Kevin Costner.
Dude, there's never been a better baseball guy. I would say also The Natural with Robert
that's
Redford,
a great one.
just a powerful movie. And, you know, I love Major League. You know, I mean, those are all baseball movies. And I would say for football, it's got to be the original Longest Yard with Burt Reynolds. That's one of my favorite ones.
Absolutely.
So. North Dallas 40, Nick Nolte.
Yeah. Who are some
Youngsters, Google those. Those are good films.
Who are some of the actors or comedians you look at as people that inspire you?
Like guys that I admired, or
it could be
peers?
right now, or it could be, you know, early on.
I think some of the best guys, stand-ups out there doing it now are Bill Burr. I think is just top of the game. I think he's like Carlin. Dave Chappelle. I tell you, I just watched Tom Papa's special, which I thought was absolutely wonderful. Bert Kreischer is fun to watch. And I know most of those guys, and I admire them. The guys I love coming up were, let's see, Gleason was.
It seems like that was your guy.
I watched him with my with my dad, and I was like, Dad, I want to do that. I want to make people laugh like that. Like he could just walk in the room and you were already on.
You were hooked.
You know what I mean? And then I'm a big fan of the character actors, man. When I was coming up, I really watched. My dad watched every movie that was ever made. Like you couldn't walk through the living room. Like if you walk through the living room and he's watching, you go, "You ever see this?" And you go, "No." You go, "Sit down." You go,
You're like, all right, Dad.
So I ended up getting a film education from him that I didn't realize. But I'm a big Paul Newman fan. Love Gene Hackman, Bruce Dern. You know, I like the guys that are a little. Like guys that you might see on the street corner. Those are the cats that I really enjoyed watching. You know, of course, Brando and all those old classics and Bogart.
Right, but like
that's
one tier down from them are the guys that really got into those characters and just drove them out of the park.
Yeah, Vincent Gardini, you know, cats like that. And I like a guy that could, you know, like my ultimate fantasy, like my life has already been, if I get nothing else,
Right.
I'm so incredibly great. Like it's ridiculous. But if I had one more bucket list, I think it would be to catch a couple serious dramatic films and just like a small part, you know, like a cool part that you remember, like John Candy and JFK.
Right.
Like just pop in and do something really cool and then kind of disappear. But it's been I've gotten way more than I deserve.
Have you ever done anything dramatic like that?
I did actually do something 2 years ago. I did a mini-series for CMT, and it was directed by Roland Joffe, who directed The Mission and many others. And what a brilliant director. And I got to play Colonel Tom Parker, Elvis's manager. And that was really fun. We did an 8-part mini-series, and it was really, really beautifully done. And then I think CMT got the price tag, and they said, let's go back to watching people catch fish with their arms. So, but, you know, you do those things, and sometimes they're just, you do them hoping people will see them, but they're still satisfying even if they don't.
Right, and I think it's interesting because you're somebody who has that range, but people see you a certain way. Like we had said, the entertainer here, and the same sort of thing. Like he can do.
Ced's wonderful.
He can do the serious
anything.
stuff. Yeah,
exactly.
And he had to show people that and reformed, but people know him from the comedy and from the neighborhood. It just takes one person to be like, yeah, do your thing, Billy.
Look, the difference between somebody who's successful and not successful is opportunity, and that means finding that person that's willing to give you that chance. And I've been pretty lucky in that department. And as far as them knowing you as one thing, well, the old saying is it's better to be typecast than not cast. You know?
That's true. Who's the first person to give you a look and give you a shot?
Well, I would say my first real fairly steady job was Greg Garcia, who's just a lovely man. Him and Alan Kirschenbaum, who has passed away. But Greg he did a show called Yes, Dear. years ago, which was super fun with Mike O'Malley and Anthony Clark and Liza Snyder and Gina Louise Kelly. And they brought me on as a reoccurring character. And so I was in like every 3 or 4 episodes. And that was really like going to college for what was coming next. And then nobody has changed my life more than Chuck Lorre. I mean, that guy just put me on the map. You know what I mean? And he put me in the middle of a lovely cast. And for some crazy reason, I guess he's a glutton for punishment because he did it again. So I'm incredibly grateful to him.
What's the big thing you want people to think about if they haven't checked out the new show?
I want you to know that there's a half hour on television that you can forget about your problems and open your heart and experience some kindness and laugh really hard. We have all that stuff for you waiting. Monday nights, CBS, 8:30.
There you go. That's Billy. I'm DJ.
DJ.
See you next time here on The Sit Down.